So, moving on to a subject that's just, it's like a bad penny. It keeps turning up. And this person has basically ruled all of 2022.
Do we have to talk about this?
I know, and it'll be brief.
That's good.
So, once upon a time, there was a person named Erza Miller who starred in a little movie called The Justice League. And so, from this, many things happened, and he went on to do a movie called The Flash. And in this movie called The Flash, we had certain cameos that are supposed to be coming out, and in this case, it was cost the studio, Warner Brothers Discovery, $250 million. Now, because of all of this, many things, which I will not get into, nor the Kyle, but you can look at the internet, happened. Very disturbing things. So finally, they came in. They said, you know what? Made a mistake. Sorry. And everybody was baffled of why they were doing what they were doing. Well, another episode of this drama, soap opera, debacle, however you want to call it, comes into play. Because yesterday, it was just found out. Now, Vanity Fair did a huge expose back in September about what happened. And it was September 18th, and the piece was written by Julia Miller. And so it just came to light only, I don't know, in the last week, that basically his legal strategy was to make people sign NDAs or non-disclosure agreements. So I'm going to now quote the article here. Through Miller's interface with police in at least 3 different precincts and an array of arrests. So we're talking about the arrests in the Hawaii and the karaoke bar and everything else. The actor's legal problems, through good luck or good lawyering, mostly have gone poof. Vanity Fair has seen one non-disclosure agreement and heard a handful of others in what 3 sources describe a, quote, whack-a-mole-style legal strategy, end quote, of paying off alleged victims. Of course, Miller declined to comment. No charges were pressed in Iceland. In Hawaii, Miller paid a $500 fine after pleading no contest to a disorderly conduct charge related to the karaoke arrest as part of a plea deal where other charges were dropped. Other allegations in Hawaii about Miller hurling a chair at a woman and breaking into a couple's home, shouting obscenities and stealing a person's passport and other legal documents was subsequently dropped. A source close to the couple refused to comment, but warned Vanity Fair, quote, don't poke a hornet's nest because one is going to get stung by a few people, end quote. Now, he was supposed to be arraigned on September 26th, and that didn't happen. That got actually pushed back to October 17th. So now we're waiting for the 17th. I don't know. And all of the same questions that we've talked about on this show and plenty of other shows and spaces and blogs and everything else are coming up again. Number one, where does this put Warner Brothers? I think squarely in the crosshairs of this because they're right back at square one. Number two, what kind of sentence is appropriate for this? And number three, where does this put the Flash? So let me pose you those questions, Kyle. Number one, why do you think Warner Brothers is going to come out and say anything before the 17th of October, which is 2 weeks from today? Number two, where does this put, the film, The Flash? And number three, what kind of sentence should he get?
I'll give you 3 words, David. Nothing will happen. Just like nothing has happened for the past eternity. I think that's the that's the right term for it. I think I saw, what was it, the article a number of weeks ago that said that Warner Brothers did give Ezra that ultimatum. They said to Ezra, you can either continue this reign of terror and chaos, or we can fire you. And you can go get some help, you can get rehab, or we can fire you. And Ezra decided to go and get the help and rehab, and now they're going to go merrily along their way, as you mentioned, paying off these people with like NDAs and all this stuff. And then I think The Flash will release in theaters next June, and that's it. I think that is what Warner Bros. Unless somehow Ezra Miller, becomes public enemy number one, and goes after Warner Brothers, because there's one thing that Ezra hasn't done, and that has been not attacking Warner Brothers. Ezra has attacked every single person out there, including the authorities, by taunting them on social media. But they have not gone and said anything bad about Warner Brothers. And I think that is one of the main reasons why Ezra is still there. Because if Ezra went saying like all these bad things about Warner Brothers, I feel like they would have had, they would be gone. But I think that Warner Brothers is saying, you know what, Ezra, we can fix this for you. We can make it go away, and it's terrible. It shouldn't happen, but that's just the way it works. And we're just two commentators endlessly talking about this.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It is what it is. I mean, so the next episode of the soap opera is October 17th, 2 weeks from today, and I'm sure on October 17th, or the 18th, we are going to be talking about Ezra Miller. So that's it. What do you guys think about this whole possible paying off people for Ezra Miller? Do you think that he's actually doing it? Do you think this is why he's gotten a pretty light sentence in Iceland and Hawaii and only got a $500 fine? What do you think is going to happen on the 18th of October? Leave us your thoughts down in the comments.